Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Saturday, January 21st. Ian Cameron, our Saturday guest, is back as well. Kevin Beach with us. Of course, if you haven't been on the show, watching or listening on Saturday since Kevin's been joining us, former pro hockey goalie for many, many years, and now using his hockey background and history and knowledge and all that good shit to try to profit now on the betting board when it comes to NHL. Kevin, how are things with you today? Are you looking forward to the card? How's betting board been treating you this past week in the NHL?
Ian, thanks for having me back on. Another big slate here on this Saturday, another 14 games, so lot to tackle. Last couple of days, been I'd say in the trenches. You know, when you're battling 500 and trying to get above it. But today's a huge day to have the odds on our side here and finally make some money.
Get on. There we go. Unmute myself. Yeah, I know what that feeling is like. Yeah, just battling and you're just breaking even or slight losing days. And I've had streaks like that where it's just you're not really having a terrible run, but you're just basically treading water quite a bit as well. And I've had those runs before. We'll see if we can have a big Saturday. It's certainly a game that offers up plenty of games to tackle and look into, and of course find opportunity. 14 games here on this day. And by the way, happy Hockey Day in Canada. If you're from north of the border, obviously it's Hockey Day in Canada, the annual celebration of the game in Canada. And Sportsnet, they devote all day, all night coverage to it. They have a triple header of NHL games, and then they've got all kinds of personal stories and people that, Owen Sound, they always pick a location every year to have Hockey Day in Canada. It's in Owen Sound, Ontario today, and they bring in an NHL alum that played from Owen Sound. They're from Owen Sound that played the game, and they bring them on for the celebration. And yeah, it's just something that's been going on now for a couple of decades. They've been doing it, and always a fun day when it's Hockey Day in Canada, and the coverage that they present on television is always very good as well. Hopefully our plays and our bets are very good. So without further ado, we'll begin with a game that's about to start in about 15 minutes from now. 12:30 p.m. Eastern, puck drop, very early start in Buffalo. Ducks and Sabres. Buffalo minus 280, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Certainly think there's going to be a good share of goals in this one. I do have a small over 6.5 look in this game, because I actually think Anaheim might be able to chip in a little bit too. You look at the Ducks in recent games, they had the 5 spot that they scored against the Columbus Blue Jackets in a very rare victory, 5-3 the other night. They've trended over now, 7 straight Anaheim games going over the total. A lot of it is because they can't keep the puck out of their net. I mean, they've given up 4 to San Jose, 7, 6, 6, 4, 5, 3. I mean, they've been consistently giving up 3 goals or more to the opposition. But the Ducks are starting to score a little bit. Trevor Zegras has been very good in recent games for the Ducks, been one of their better players. They also get Mason McTavish back in the lineup today. He was banged up a little bit, but he is going to return from a lower body injury here. He's missed the game against Columbus, but he'll be back for this matchup here against the Buffalo Sabres. Sabres, on the other hand, snapped a 2-game losing streak with that 3-2 overtime victory against the New York Islanders. They probably should have won that game easier than they did. On Ryan Miller night, raising his number to the rafters in Buffalo. They totally outplayed the Islanders, but Ilya Sorokin was immense and is the main reason the Islanders were able to get a point in that game. Buffalo looking to keep it going. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond. It was obviously a big night for the team and the franchise and the fan base. Saying not goodbye to Ryan Miller. It's not like he's going away forever, but you know what I mean. Retiring his number. I think, to me, him and Dominic Hasek, 1A, 1B, Kevin, in terms of the 2 best goalies the Buffalo Sabres have ever had. Ryan Miller's right there, just in terms of team success, in terms of longevity, how many years he was consistently great in net for the Sabres, right there with Hasek, in my opinion. So very deserving for him to get his number retired. How does Buffalo now? Is there a little bit of a lull, a little bit of a letdown after an emotional night like that? Perhaps, but they're still much better than Anaheim. And I think they can't afford to squander 2 points in this spot, considering they already did that against Chicago, where they had a 3-1 lead earlier this week and they lost. You got to be able to get points against these, below average bottom feeder teams if you're going to try to make a push for the playoffs here. So I'm just going to look at the over, and I think Buffalo will win, but I'm not going to be rushing to lay minus 290. If anything, maybe a minus 1.5. If you're going to look at the Sabres for better value, take them on the puck line. What do you think here, Kevin? First game up, Ducks, Sabres.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick to the well here. Cam Feller is a guy I've been playing quite a bit the last couple weeks. A lot of times I've been playing the no point for him. He did score 2 points his last game. That's only the third time in the last 10 he has put up points. That's minus 141 on him, but I'm not going to play that one. I feel this high scoring game as well coming. However, it's his price on his under 1.5 shots that I like. Plus 105, 6 of the last 10 he's been under that mark. He's just not shooting the puck a lot. Even I know the goalie last game, one of his 2 shots he had last game was just driving the net, and he was able to get it on, but he's just not. Tennessee right now not firing the puck, and that plus money, the plus 105 compared to his no point odds is the one that I'm going to tackle right there. So I got Cam Fowler under 1.5, and that's the one I'm going to play this game. So only looking at the one prop.
All right, just the one prop. And I remember those last 2 Saturdays, Cam Fowler's been mentioned as someone you've been targeting as a go against in terms of whether it's points, shots, anything. Just him being a low event player for the Anaheim Ducks compared to obviously some of the other players on their roster. And certainly Cam Fowler, someone you've been targeting, and I think with pretty decent success as well. Going back to that well here today, Cam Fowler under the shots prop. And I think this has been, if I'm not mistaken, this has been like a week or 2 solidly. You've been looking consistently at going against Fowler, right?
Yeah, I've been hitting him probably a couple of weeks now, almost every game, either on the no points or the under no shots, and that trend has been paying off for me as long as I play it consistently. Like last game, he did pop off for 2, which you don't like to see when you're going against it. But the odds overall, his trend right now is he's not doing a ton back there.
All right, now next up, Tampa Bay and Calgary. This is the first of the games that will be featured on the Hockey Day in Canada coverage today on Sportsnet. First of a triple header. They've got this game. They've got a couple at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then they have the Edmonton-Vancouver game late tonight. Pretty much even money here, both sides, minus 110 in this matchup, and the total currently sitting at 6, shaded to the over. In this game, we're waiting to see goalie confirmations, and I shouldn't be surprised. That's often the case here when we're talking Saturday games, that we don't always get the goalies announced right away. But Calgary, I kind of think Calgary's sitting in a good spot here. They've lost 2 in a row. Obviously, they fell flat the first game home off the road trip against Colorado, who are surging again right now. We saw them take care of business against Vancouver last night. So really no fault in the way Calgary played against Colorado. Tough spot off the road trip, playing Colorado, who's starting to get their game back together. I think Calgary will play really hard, really well today. Will it be enough's the question. Tampa usually off a loss. I'm very interested. And, of course, we saw them lose 5-3 to the Oilers on Thursday night. Or actually, it was Wednesday night. Thursday night it was, Thursday night against Edmonton. They lost 5-3 in that game. If you look at the Lightning, they got into some penalty trouble. It maybe wasn't the best game for Vasilevsky, but really that game was winnable for them. It was 3-3. It was sitting there to be had. And then Connor McDavid does Connor McDavid stuff, just does a terrific individual effort, pulls away and just, takes that puck with great speed, great force to the front of the net and just powers it past Andrei Vasilevsky. That ended up being the game winner on Thursday night against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then they added the empty netter to put it away 5-3. So, I think Calgary now rested at home after, having that game against Colorado a couple of days ago. And keep in mind, they've got actually the extra day off compared to Tampa going into this game. So it's really 2 full days. I think situationally, it really is nice for Calgary. But I want to see who's in net. If it's Markstrom, I'm much less likely to take Calgary. I mean, he has kind of been up and down. They've struggled with their confidence, I think, a little bit more as a team with him in net. Nothing has been confirmed yet in that regard. We've got just projections that Jacob Markstrom will be in net for Calgary and Andrei Vasilevsky will be in net for Tampa, but nothing confirmed as of yet. You look at Calgary, it's going to have to start with, all of their big guns. I mean, Huberdeau has not exactly been good in his first season or consistent in his first season here under Daryl Sutter. That Dylan Dubé was expected of him. We'll see how he fares in this game for the Calgary Flames. What I am interested to see is that they are going to give this young kid a chance in net, Jacob Pelletier, who's been called up from the minor leagues. This is someone that, in the AHL, he had a great junior career in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. You look at last year in the AHL, he had 27 goals and 62 points in 66 games with the Stockton Flames in the AHL. So he's been lighting it up down there. We'll see if he can keep it going here. I'm tempted to look at props involving Pelletier today because, look, they need a spark, and maybe he's someone that can give them that if you're Calgary in this one. So I'm a wait-and-see approach type of thing with this game. I'm waiting to see who's in net. I honestly think I'd like to bet on both of these teams in this spot rather than bet against them. So a little bit of a tricky game, looking more towards some props in this one than a side or total as of right now. Like I said, Pelletier for Calgary, I'm interested. No question about that. If you're looking at Tampa Bay, I mean, you don't want to overcomplicate it or overthink it right now. Stamkos, Kucherov, and Point. You usually like to look for bargain bin value, but Braden Point's just been a machine with point scoring, goal scoring of late. It's just been an incredible run. Steven Stamkos, pretty much the same thing for him. He is on now a 7-game point streak. We had the hat trick against Vancouver where he got his 500th goal and 4 goals in the last 2 games combined. So, usually I like to look for down the board, some value, some good prices, but I don't know if you want to do that right now with Tampa Bay. I mean, stick with the players that are just carrying the mail for them right now. And it's been the big 3. There's Kucherov, Stamkos, and Point for sure. Kevin, this might be a good prop game. Do you feel that way about the Lightning and the Flames?
Yeah, this is one I finally gone after the last game. I finally jumped on it with Jonathan Huberdeau. As you mentioned, he's not having the season the Flames hoped, and they got to win games right now. Like Sutter, he's not using them a ton in deployment. His last 10 games here, only once has he hit the 19-minute mark in ice time. And this is a guy in Florida that was regularly over 20 minutes a night.
Sutter's one of those guys, Kevin, that if you're not playing the way he wants you to, he won't hesitate to staple your ass to the bench. He's done this throughout his coaching career. So it's not a surprise if he's not thrilled with what he's seeing out of Huberdeau, that TOI is ticking on down.
Yeah, and speaking of not being thrilled, this guy has 4 shots total in his last 5 games. I'm looking at his line for under 1.5. It's paying plus money right now, 105. And 7 of his last 10, he's been under that mark. So he's not playing as much as he should be for a guy that caliber. And as it is, when he is playing, he's not throwing the puck on net. So that's a guy I'm going to jump on for sure. I jumped on a last game with him, and I'm going to continue until he shows me differently. And then the other guy, Tyler Toffoli right now, he is playing that top line, if you call it the top line, with Lindholm and Dubé right now. And he's also on that first power play unit. And I'm looking at him. I find some value in the over 2.5 on his shots. That's paying minus 114 what I see, but he's hit that in 7 of his last 10. So he's getting a lot of opportunity, and he's a guy who likes to shoot the puck. So if I'm going to go a second bet of the game, that's the one I'm going to place. But that Jonathan Huberdeau, that's the one that I really want right there.
All right, going against someone that's had a tough transition here in his first season with the Calgary Flames. I agree with someone, Slatsy 45, who's someone, good guy and knows his hockey, and a lot of his comments are very astute, I find. And he's right. Can't believe they have Lucic playing with Hubert. Yeah, get a skill guy up there. Get a speed guy up there.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's not helping his cause get more shots with having Lucic on there. So that even more when I saw yeah, that's a good comment there. But I saw that in the lines. I was like, okay, that's not helping this cause either.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I look at that situation too, with him being up there, why is Mangiapane? I get it. Okay, he's not had the season we hoped. He's had a sophomore slump, if you will. Remember, he broke onto the breakout season last year. What do you have? 35 goals, 20 assists, 55 points. He
Yeah,
kind
all
of
he
got
did was
paid.
score.
Yeah, I mean, he was awesome. And you talk about props, Kevin, last year. Oh, the Mangiapane props. I mean, I jumped on it quickly that, this guy's just exploded on the scene here. And you were getting plus 350, 400, 450 to score goals. You were getting just plus prices for him just to get a point. It was just the best thing ever. And look, he's had a tough season following it up. He got the money, he got the bag, and now he's having a hard time delivering the goods now this year. I get it. He's only got 9 goals for the Flames, 12 assists and 21 points this year. But at the same time, you got to put him in a position to succeed or maybe try to break out of this slump. And that's the one thing with Sutter is sometimes he punishes his player too much for struggles. I mean, you've got to put them in spots where they're going to be at their most effective and productive for you. And I don't see how Lucic on a second line and Mangiapane on a third line is the best fit right now with the forward combinations. It should be the reverse. Put Lucic on that third line, more of a checking role, and put Mangiapane up with Huberdeau and with on that second line for the Flames. So do that, and you're going to have more opportunity. And Kadri, of course, on that second line. I think Mangiapane, Kadri, Huberdeau should be the second line, and Lucic should go down to the third line, be more in that checking role. But I ain't the coach.
Although I think Sutter's been at this all season though, trying to find something that clicks, and I think he's at the point where he's getting everything to try because to get that team going. But I think he's been at it all season with Huberdeau, trying to figure out where to place him. It just he just hasn't found it yet.
No, he is not. And now the question is going to be, look, now there's a question now people are asking, are they ever going to get this, is Huberdeau going to take off? Kadri's been good in times, but he's not been consistent. But there's been bigger issues than Kadri. I mean, Huberdeau's got to obviously step his game up. Dubé was asked a lot of him. Mangiapane's play has dropped off. Those are the 3 that are critical for them, in my opinion. Even Toffoli, and Toffoli's had a great career. Remember, this is now a guy in his 30s. I mean, he's going to have a leveling off in his career at some point. You might be seeing that right now. But collectively, there's just too many players on this Calgary team that are just, based on what we've seen from many players on this team in the past, they're not playing at that level now. Okay, and it's everybody. It's multiple players at the same time. It's why they're having an inconsistent season, and it's also why they need to get their ass in gear. They really do in terms of trying to get back on track and get more consistency in their game. And obviously, they've lost 2 in a row now. They've got Tampa coming in. Certainly won't get any easier for them here this afternoon. All right, next up, we've got the rest of the games, by the way, are tonight. Night games on the Saturday slate. Minnesota and Florida. We've got Florida minus 110, minus 115, home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. Oh, by the way, a couple of props from the first 2 games. JJ Peterka, someone mentioned it in the chat about him for Buffalo. He's up on the second line. He was sent down. He's back up. I think there's a little chip on his shoulder, point to prove. If Peterka scores a goal or gets a point, that's not crazy, in my opinion. I mentioned Peltier in the Calgary game as well. And maybe I also look at Dubé here today because a lot of his goal production's been at home. And again, anyone that I mentioned of the big 3 from Tampa, worth a look. This game, I like Minnesota, actually, here at even money in this game. Off a loss, disappointing against Carolina on Thursday night for the Minnesota Wild. They catch Florida here off the road trip through Eastern Canada. They also went to Buffalo, and then they went to Toronto and Montreal after that. They rebounded from a 5-4 overtime loss against the Leafs to pummel Montreal 6-2 on Thursday night. And really, it was the penalty trouble Montreal got into that opened the door for Florida to just open the floodgates and break that game wide open. But Minnesota coming in again off a tough 5-2 loss. They catch Florida here coming in off the road trip. Florida's beaten Minnesota 3 times in a row, but I'm willing to maybe look against that here today and take the Minnesota Wild in this game. Plus, you factor in that Florida's down to the 3rd goalie in their organization in net today, a guy that actually got a surprise start for the Panthers against Montreal Thursday night, Alex Lyon, who has been basically a career AHL goalie for the most part. He's had brief times starting for the Flyers in the past. And then also, of course, with the just recently, there was another team he was with, another organization. I think it was Carolina. But Alex Lyon has basically had just a handful of games in the NHL. Now he's with the Florida Panthers organization. And look, Knight is on IR still. Bobrovsky has been out here the last couple of games. He hasn't been available. He was a last-minute scratch against Montreal due to a lower body injury, and he's already been ruled out for this game. So it's Alex Lyon who is back in between the pipes. He was phenomenal against Montreal, but do you know what I feel about these goalies that have just been playing majority of their career in the minor leagues, in the AHL, etc.? They have that great start out of the blue, last-second starter against Montreal. They don't bring that same performance the next time out a lot of times. That is something I've noticed here over the years. So when it comes to Alex Lyon, let's see him do it again. And let's see him do it again with a team that's still in front of him defensively, a little bit of a mess at times. It's a team that has obviously had their struggles keeping the puck out of their own net throughout the course of the season. When you look at Florida's numbers, defensively, they're only 22nd in the NHL. Goals allowed per game, 3.4 per game allowed. So again, a bottom half of the league in terms of defensive ability, the Florida Panthers, and keeping the puck out. And again, Lyon was much stronger, much better than anyone would have thought against Montreal. But A, you're not playing Montreal, you're playing a little better team. And B, it's a situation where a lot of times you have that one great start, you're just not able to follow it up when you're basically, a journeyman goalie like Alex Lyon has been for many years. So I like Minnesota here in this spot, -110. The Wild team total over is probably something to consider as well. In this game, it's a 3.5 number, and it's a plus money price. So I think that's maybe worth a shot. The over 6.5 probably as well might be smaller bets, but the main bet for me is Minnesota money line here, even money. I think they bounce back after the loss against Carolina, catch Florida on this coming back home after the road trip, and a Florida team with going back to the well with Alex Lyon, who I'm willing to bet against him, bringing the same kind of performance we saw against Montreal Thursday night. What do you think here in this one, Kevin? Wild and Panthers.
Yeah, you're going against Lyon, and I'm rooting for him. So I saw what he did against Montreal there. I picked him up in my fantasy. Yeah, I picked him up in my fantasy leagues right away. A couple of them just to kind of, root for the guy and hope it's kind of a rallying point for Florida. If they're going to make playoffs, this is the moment. They need to rally behind something. They have been playing better hockey the last little bit as well, which kind of interests me. They're saying all the right things in the media that they feel good. They're finally battling. They're playing more heart. So I would love to see them kind of go on a run. That's also kind of a personal thing because I have them in a parlay to make playoffs. Which so there's a bit of a personal side that I'm rooting for. But he knows how to win. Like he won an AHL title last year, so this is a guy that can win games. So I want to see how the team rallies behind them and see if it gives them that boost. So that's kind of the side I'm looking for. However, saying that I'm not playing the wins or losses on either side here. I am looking at a prop. This one I honestly don't know if this is a glitch, but this Barkov shots line is set at 3.5 today, and on Barstool anyways. And 17 of his last 18 games, he's been under that mark. So only once in his last 18 has he hit 4 shots in a game, and it's set at 3.5. And
wow.
Now it's not paying a ton. It's -182, but I don't know. Based on that, I can't. I don't know why the line's set at that, but that's one I think is he has to be under, and that's the one and only prop I'm playing this game.
Yeah, it's a split line, actually. I'm just looking at the BetStamp app right now, which is a great app, obviously, for monitoring all this stuff. And I mentioned it to you, right? BetStamp. It is just absolutely phenomenal. It's some books have 2.5, some have 3.5 with Barkov shots on goal. The 3.5, you're right, -182 is right around where it is at most books. Again, a big price, but you mentioned -182 is not a bad price to lay when you factor in the percentages in your favor. What is it, 17 of 18? 16 of 17?
Yeah, 17 of 18.
17 of 18. There you go. In terms of going under 3.5 shots on goal, Barkov, in 17 of the last 18 games. So, when you think of it in those terms, hey, -182 is not that fucking big of a deal laying that kind of price when you're talking about that kind of percentage in your favor, no doubt. So that's it for you in this game, right? Just Barkov under.
That's for me. I think that's a layup. So that's the one I'm going to take right there.
All right, Barkov under shots, under 3.5 for shots on goal for Florida for Kevin in this one, Wild and Panthers. All right, Toronto Maple Leafs, Montreal Canadiens. Leafs minus 350, road favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. It's tough news for the Canadiens. The Cole Caulfield news is just really unfortunate. Out for the season for Montreal, having a terrific season as well. He's been carrying the team, the catalyst, the backbone, the lifeblood offensively for Montreal much of the season. And now we find out he is out for the rest of the season for this Montreal Canadiens team. Will undergo shoulder surgery, you would think, because it's a right shoulder injury. Surgery on his right shoulder. He'll be back for training camp. And obviously he suffered that injury on Thursday night against Florida. Unfortunate for him, unfortunate for the members of this team, probably for the fan base, though, and the people that are in the management group. If anything, this is really going to hurt you. You're going to probably lose more, and you're going to strengthen your bid for Connor Bedard and the number 1 overall pick. So you got to look at the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, in a situation like this, that maybe you're going to incentivize and improve your opportunities here to get Connor Bedard on your hockey team in the draft coming up in the spring. So how does Montreal fare here? You know, sometimes when you have something like this for one game, everybody steps up. I don't know if they're going to be able to here. They have played a little bit better, or they had been playing a little bit better. They'd won 2 in a row, 3 of 4 before running into the Panthers and having a rough game, 6-2. I mean, they were just in the box too many times. They gave Florida 8 power plays in that game, and the Panthers connected 4 times with the man advantage. You just when you lose the special teams battle like that, you're not really going to have a chance. And what's concerning, too, about the Canadiens is the penalty kill. 5 power play goals have been allowed by them in the last 2 games. And you go back to the Christmas break where we've talked about how they've really struggled defensively for more of the games than not. The penalty kill has been a big problem. The Leafs come in here all of a sudden with a power play goal, Kevin, in 8 of their last 10 games. So if you're going to bet Leaf props tonight, you know, don't just settle for full game and regular, you know, props for points, goal, etc. Look at the power play points market. It's one of those games where it makes a lot of sense to do that. The Leaf power play has been better lately. Montreal has struggled on the kill in recent games. So that's definitely an opportunity you think the Leafs will be able to take advantage of here in this game. I mean, when you look at it, Toronto's minus 350. They probably win this one. They have had a tough time with Montreal. It is worth noting that these have not been easy games for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Montreal's actually beaten them 3 of the last 4 regular season meetings. And earlier this year on opening night in Montreal, it was a 4-3 win as plus 210 underdogs for the Montreal Canadiens. But without Caulfield, with everybody else that's out too, I mean, let's also not forget Caden Gooley on the back end still out. Yoel Armia out, Jonathan Drouin out, Jake Evans out, Juraj Slafkovsky, the number 1 overall pick, is on IR. That's a lot missing in your lineup for the Montreal Canadiens. Sam Montembeault back in net. Jake Allen not ready to return yet either. So Montembeault gets another start. I think this is like his 4th or 5th start in a row for the Canadiens. And Ilya Samsonov back in net for Toronto. That can't be shocking because he was just terrific Thursday night in the win against the Jets. I think it was one of his best games of the season. So, you know, this is one of those games where I'm not a big puck line player, puck line better, but this might be one I consider a minus 1.5 here. It's minus 130. It's not like it's great value, but it's probably as good as you'll find here in this kind of game because you're just not getting, obviously, Toronto at a bargain, but maybe a small bet on the puck line here on Toronto because I just feel Montreal without Coffee. You're taking how many goals out of your lineup for a team that has really relied on him and counted upon him offensively? The 26 goals out of your lineup. And keep in mind, Montreal on the season is only 29th in the NHL in goals per game, 2.6 goals per game. So they haven't scored much. Caulfield has scored the lion's share of these goals, and now you don't have him. So there is a real concern. Where is the offense going to come from? Who is going to step up for this team? I think Josh Anderson's one of the top candidates. If you're going to look for a prop for Montreal, maybe him to pick up some of the slack. And this might be a spot to do it because he actually does seem to always make an impact and score against Toronto, believe it or not. He's done well head-to-head against the Leafs. So maybe a Josh Anderson prop for the Canadiens. to find the back of the net. But other than that, I think this is a game Toronto. I don't think Toronto, for some reason, I just get that sense that if you put on my Dr. Fraser Crane hat, psychiatrist, Toronto's not going to overlook Montreal tonight, especially knowing they lost on opening night to them. So, yeah, if I were to bet something here, it'd be -1.5, -130 with Leafs puck line. What do you think here, Kevin? Leafs and Habs?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking a couple of different things. One is my thought before the Caulfield injury. Mike Hoffman, I jumped on this last game. The under 1.5 shots was paying 150, plus 150, and 6 of his last 8, he's been under that. He plays decent amount of power play, but other than that, doesn't really play a ton, and just has not been in opportunities where he's shooting the puck much at all the last, the last 8-9 games. And that was one I was really excited about to play tonight. Now with this Caulfield injury, I think it's one I'm going to just pump the brakes on, kind of sit, wait, see what happens. However, on that injury, that has shifted my gears over to Josh Anderson. His line is also 1.5. Now the rate to go over that is always minus 182. So it's not that great of a payoff, but his line placement is definitely going to bump up here, and I feel like that is something he will hit. However, the one I think I want to go after is we were talking about that the Canadians, how many shots they're giving up, and right now the team total for the Leafs is at 33.5 on the over under. So the over is paying minus 112. I don't know if you had it, how many games in a row that was, but I finally jumped on it the other day against Winnipeg, and Winnipeg didn't hit it. And then so the next game I didn't play it, and then again it went over with Florida. So
yeah,
that's one I think I'm gonna jump on here for a bit and ride it out and see if that trend continues. Especially not having Caulfield either, doesn't help the cause. But that's one I'm going to jump on it and ride out for a bit and see what happens. So I'm going team total shots for the Leafs over 33.5.
All right, there you go. And that's been, it's not been a bad way to go with Montreal. They've been hemorrhaging. Well, they were hemorrhaging goals a ton since the Christmas break. It was a little bit better for them against the Rangers and the Jets. They had a couple better performances, but they're still giving up a shit ton of shots. You're right. 40, 39, 38, 42, 40. In 5 of the last 6 games, whether it's Toronto shots over, some books don't do that, but they offer you goalie saves over. Whether it's either Toronto, you either bet Toronto shots on goal over or Montreal saves over for Montembeault. It's basically the same bet. It's just a different way of going about it.
Until they prove differently for a bit here, I think that's a good way to kind of jump on that trend.
Yeah, the difference is, look. If Montembeault gives up 9 goals tonight, you could lose the saves prop, but the overshots for Toronto can cash. If the goalie has a really bad night, if he's not making those saves at a high rate, it could be a lot of shots for Toronto, but he's just given up too much that his saves number goes under. I have seen that once in a while. So it's not automatic that Toronto over shots on goal will win. It means Montembeault over saves will win. More often than not, they'll both cash, no question, but there are those rare instances where the goalie's just fucking shit in the bed, Kevin, big time.
Yeah.
And sometimes the saves prop won't go out over, but even the shots prop over for the opposing team does.
Yeah. No, that's one you pointed out last week, though, and that's when I'm going to jump on that train. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good bet, though. The shots on, and it's another way to bet Toronto, like without actually laying minus 350 on the. Talk about different ways to bet a team when you're talking about a minus 350 favorite, because there's not great value on the reg line. There's not great value even on the puck line because it's minus 130. There's not great value on the team total because 3.5 is like minus 180 if you're going to play team total over for the Leafs. So over shots on goal for Toronto or Montembeault over saves is a great way to. It's basically a bet on Toronto, and they don't even have to win the game, and they don't even have to score. It could be one of those nights where Montembeault is just and he did play well in a couple games before the Florida game, and it's just another way of we can bet on Toronto without betting them to win the game, without asking them to score goals. That's the beauty of those props with the shots on goal for the team.
Yeah, I think against Florida there, the over under the shots was a little higher. It was like 35 and a half. So it kind of scared me off, and of course it flew over. I think Florida had around 40 that night, but yeah, this is a little bit of a lower number, 33 and a half, and yeah, so this is one I'm comfortable jumping back on.
I told Kevin already, because we text back and forth usually throughout the week, is that I'm not scared to bet opinions of, even though, like, if I handicap a sport, but there's someone else, and it's not like, oh, I handicap this sport, I couldn't care less what you're betting, and I'm ignoring it, and I don't want to know about it. I'm not going to bet anything that you recommend. No, actually, there's other people that in the sports I handicap, if they're good in a certain area and they've got good opinions and it makes sense to me, they'll say something, oh, I'm on this, and I'll bet it. And I've done that with a lot of your props so far, Kevin. And I feel this way about this one now with the Leafs shots on goal. I think it's a really good look. It's a savvy look here in this game for the Leafs, in a way that you can see them pushing the play, carrying the play, and they don't even have to find the back of the net with this. So I think it's a good look with the Leafs.
I think there's something we mentioned too, that it's not something we often look at is the team totals on shots. So yeah, I think there's definitely value there when you can find it, but it's kind of an area that we haven't explored a ton so far. So, but that's probably the reason I'm on it, just to, see it more, pay attention to it more, and be focused a little more on it.
Yeah, especially involving these teams that are just massive favorites. You got to find other ways to go about it. And that's definitely a good way to consider going about it, is the shots on goal. All right, San Jose, Columbus. We've got San Jose minus 140, road favorites here, 6.5 being the total in this game. The Jackets, of course, played the Flyers. No, it was Anaheim. Sorry, it was Anaheim in their last game Columbus played. I talked going into that game, you get these just bad teams and they go head to head, two of the worst teams in the NHL. I honestly think in these games they both say, fuck playing any sort of defense. I really believe that. And I think a lot of these times where you get, these bottom feeder teams squaring off head to head, you just get pond hockey. And we saw that with Columbus, Anaheim. Columbus actually has a 3-0 lead in that game. They could not hold it down. Anaheim with 5 unanswered goals, and they end up winning 5-3 in that one. We'll see if Columbus has a bounce back in them here. Jonas Korpisalo, who I guess you could say he's been better than Merzlikins. That's not saying much, but he has been better than his counterpart for the Jackets. Although, that being said, he's coming back after missing the last 3 games due to personal matters. He's away from the team, family situation unfolding. He still doesn't have great numbers, even though he's been better than Merzlikins. Korpisalo still 3.28 goals against average, 908 save percentage, which, again, still below average. San Jose comes into this game. We'll see who's in net for them. Reimer projected, but hasn't been confirmed yet. San Jose, 4 straight games of theirs have gone over the total, 4-3, 7-1, 4-3, 5-3. Columbus, of course, coming off the 5-3 game against Anaheim. Remember, low-scoring games with Nashville and the Rangers, but again, then they played a weaker team. Detroit game goes over the total. There has been many instances of this where weaker competition, Columbus is able to score, and we see more goals. That's what I'm targeting here more than a side. It's just both teams to have their share of success offensively in this game. So I like over 6.5. I think it's not a bad prop game. Kirill Marchenko is up with Jenner and Gaudreau. This has been a revolving door on that right wing side on the top line for Columbus. When Laine hasn't been there, or actually he's healthy, he's on the ice, but they've bumped him down to the second line. But when Laine's not in that spot, they've had a revolving door. They've had Marchenko there. They've had Emil Bemstrom there in that spot. They put Nyquist there, Kent Johnson. I mean, Brad Larsen's been mixing and matching in that right wing top line spot with Jenner and Gaudreau. And now it's Marchenko's turn. So Marchenko's probably the undervalued commodity right now for the Jackets. Someone that actually has kind of cooled off, but they put him now back on the top line, and an opportunity, I think, to make an impact. So Kirill Marchenko, definitely, I think, undervalued if you're looking at props involving the Jackets here in this game. Jack Roslovic, who has been a streaky player for this team, might be on the good side of the streak right now. He's on a 4-game consecutive point streak with 5 points in those games. So might be another person to consider here if you're going to take props involving Columbus. And in a game where I think it'll be high event and a lot of goals, it's probably a good game for some props. On the San Jose side, Mikey Eyssimont has moved up to the top line. Barabanov, as well. I think a little undervalued. And by the way, Esamont's had 2 points since joining the top line for San Jose. And all of a sudden, from the third line in recent games, we've really seen Nick Bonino's offense flourish for the San Jose Sharks. He has 5 points in the last 5 games, 3 goals during that span. So if you really want to get creative and look for a bargain bin option, Nick Bonino down on the third line, even though he's down in that group for San Jose, he has been chipping in offensively for them lately as well. So, and he does get power play time on the second unit. So he's a bargain bin option as well. Kevin, what do you think here? San Jose, Columbus.
Yeah, for me, I'm pretty much staying away from the props, what I had on my end. However, if we are looking at bargain bin, Adam Boquist, if you do find him for a point prop or anytime assist prop, if it's a good price, that could be one to play. Doesn't play a ton, but does play that he's playing that top power play right now. He only has 6 points on the season. He's only played 15 games, but 6 of those points are in the last 10 games, the last 9 games. So he's starting to throw up some of those assists here in that lineup. And last year he went on a bit of a run too. So he just got hot and just started posting points, even though he's usually playing under 20 a night. But he just finds the way. He has that offensive eye. So if that is available, that's one I'd look at. I didn't have that one available to me on Barstool, but I'm in the same boat. I'm looking at two not good teams who are not playing well and are involved in a lot of high octane offensive games. A lot of goals going in. A lot of goals are not able to keep out of their net. So not being too complicated here, I'm sticking on that over 6.5 on the game as well. And that's, just room for a lot of goals. But yeah, I see that too. Pond hockey, and I'm jumping on the boat as well.
Yeah, it just seems, again, we've seen, watched a lot of hockey, both of us. I know I can tell you right now, when it comes to 30 years now, I've been watching it. And boy, oh boy, definitely, I've seen bad team versus bad team. We've seen just, nobody's blocking a shot when you're 30 points out of the playoffs. I mean, that's the thing too. We've talked about this ad nauseum. Who's blocking a shot when you're not even close to sniffing a playoff spot? It's not like you're going to go above and beyond to really get in front of a 90-mile-an-hour slapper from the point. It's just not going to happen when you're a team that's got really no shot to make the postseason. So that plays a part in why defense kind of wanes in games like this with two, Class D, if you will, teams going head to head. All right, Philadelphia, Detroit. Detroit minus 140, home favorite, 6 the total in this game. Red Wings, man, what an upset they pulled against Vegas the other night. It speaks volumes about where the Golden Knights are at this point, but give Detroit credit. A great performance on the road to wrap up that trip in Vegas. They win 3-2 over the Golden Knights. Now they return home to Detroit, Motor City. Tough spot, again, when you're always coming off a road trip like that. And they played a lot of games in a short period of time. That team played 4 games in 6 nights on that trip, which isn't easy. And now they come home after that as well. Or 3 games in 4, I should say, on that road trip. And now they're back home. This will be 4th and 6 with all that travel. Colorado, Arizona, Vegas, back home now to Detroit. Not an optimal spot to lay minus 140. Necessarily here with the Detroit Red Wings. I do lean a little to Philly, actually, here at plus 120 as an underdog in this game. I think it's not a bad situation for them. They're off a loss at home to Chicago, 4-1. We'll see if they can bounce back here. The road record is 9-15, which isn't great by any stretch of the imagination. But you look at this matchup here, Philly certainly coming here with an easier scheduling situation compared to the Detroit Red Wings. That should help them out. They've also played 4 and 6, but again, they were basically at home for 2 of those games. The travel much lighter for them. That's something to factor in. The Red Wings, on home ice for the most part this year, this has been a team that had been playing really well here at home. A little more hit or miss for them lately here on home ice. We'll see how they fare in this one. In terms of the goaltending matchup, no confirmation yet, just projections that it'll be Carter Hart for Philly and Ville Husso in net for the Detroit Red Wings. I don't know fully if it's going to be Carter Hart tonight. I've got that sense, especially because we saw Hart, and it's not like we're blaming him for the 4-1 loss against Chicago. Not all his fault, obviously, but he's been more up and down lately. And every time they put the young kid, Samuel Ersson, in net, he's been really good. Like really good for the Philadelphia Flyers. And I've got a sneaking suspicion Torts is going to go to Ersson tonight. Again, just that's just a gut feel. I have no knowledge of that. But definitely, I think it's possible here going into this game. Oh, no, scratch that. Scratch that. Ersson actually was sent down. So never mind that. Samuel Ersson was sent down to the minors here for the Philadelphia Flyers. So I guess they feel they don't want to rush him yet. They've seen a good amount of body of work from him up here the last couple of weeks. Hey, he was very good, but they still say, hey, get a little more seasoning in the AHL. So there goes those plans. So it'll be either Carter Hart or Sandstrom. Sandstrom now back in the number 2 goalie spot, but probably going to be Hart now that they sent down Samuel Ersson again to the minors. So that changes things a little bit for me. I still lean Flyers just based on the spot. I think this is tricky for Detroit, ending a long road trip there. A great win against Vegas, coming back home, short turnaround, laying $1.40. It's not a great price either, so I still lean Philly in this game, plus the $1.20. What do you think here in this one, Kevin? Flyers and Red Wings.
Yeah, I like that play from you. For me, I think it's kind of a 50-50 game. Like the Wings are coming off that good win. They're at home. Philly's coming off the loss, but they've been the better team the last stretch here, last stretch of 10. So playing that price, the plus money, I think that's the way to go. I was also looking at the over 6 as well. Same kind of system with the Sharks and Jacks, just not two the better teams in the league, and those games can quickly kind of get away, and the defense can be thrown out the window pretty quickly. So I like those two, the over 6 and the plus 120 on Philly with the win there. Props, I went through this, and this was one of the few games where I was staying away on props. Just didn't find the value there. So again, but I like that play from you on with Philly on the win with the plus money.
Yeah, definitely. I still think in terms of the situationals here, Philadelphia is not a bad way to go here in this one at plus 120, especially because they played pretty well. I mean, you throw out the Boston, shutout loss to the mighty Bruins, which is no shame in that. And then Chicago, where, to be quite honest, John Tortorella said, hey, it's just one of those games where flat, didn't have it. It's not that it's just didn't have it. You're going to have games. In an 82-game season, every team has a game like that where they're just flat. They don't have it. I think probably a little kick in the pants based on those comments from Torts to his team. So say, hey, don't be flat next time out. So I'd expect better from the Flyers here. So definitely leaning hard in that direction with them plus 120 in this one. All right, Winnipeg, Ottawa. The Jets minus 135, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. I think this is a brilliant setup for the Winnipeg Jets. They've now lost 2 in a row against the Habs and the Leafs on this road trip. They obviously want to turn things around. They catch Ottawa coming back home after playing in Pittsburgh last night, losing 4-1 rather to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ottawa didn't play that bad. They ran into Tristan Jarry, obviously not a smidget of rust on Tristan Jarry after missing some time due to injury. That was a terrific performance from him. That's about as good as I've seen out of Tristan Jarry. He was very strong in net for the Penguins last night in that 4-1 win against the Senators. Again, Senators played well enough to win, but they couldn't overcome the mistakes with the puck. They couldn't overcome the turnovers. And again, Cam Talbot gave up a goal or two that you'd like to see him stop. And that's become a recurring theme for him in net lately for the Ottawa Senators. Keep in mind here, too, in this game between these two teams, you would think you're going to see Forsberg. I know Forsberg's had a combination of injuries and being under the weather the last week or two, and it's kind of why Talbot's had to go in repeatedly. But it sounds like Forsberg is going to be available for the Senators and potentially starting, but hasn't been confirmed yet. But if he's available at all to start, I would think we see Forsberg in net for the Ottawa Senators in this game. Connor Hellebuck back in net. Look, it's been a little bit of not the best 2 games in a row for Hellebuck, but the product of that, I think, was really, the team in front of them made some mistakes with the puck. If you look at the Toronto game, Mark Scheifele gets turned around inside out by Austin Matthews on the first goal of the game. Just a couple of misplays with the puck, mishandling, leaving guys wide open, left Matthews wide open in the slot. Just a defensive no-no that the Jets have not been making these kind of mistakes very often. But the last couple of games, some defensive breakdowns have crept into their game, and I'm sure it doesn't make Rick Bowness happy. This team has been a much improved defensive team for much of the season. We've just not seen them at their absolute best at that end of the ice here the last two. This is a chance for them, I think, to get back on track here against Ottawa, who, they beat Pittsburgh in overtime in their last home game, but still, this is a team that's just 2-5 in their last 7 games, which isn't great. Winnipeg's won each of the last 2 meetings against the Ottawa Senators last year here in Ottawa. Winnipeg beat them by a score of 4-3 in that game. I like the Jets here, and the price isn't bad. Minus 135 with Winnipeg here, moderate road favorite price. When they've got a rest advantage, you should get focus. You should get this team, not taking Ottawa lightly after 2 consecutive losses. If I'm not mistaken either, Kevin, Winnipeg has not lost 3 in a row this season. If once they did, actually, but that's it. And they lost 3 in a row way back in late December against Boston, Washington, and Minnesota. And keep in mind, those were all 3 pretty good hockey teams. But that's the only time they've dropped 3 consecutive games this year. I think it's definitely a good spot for the Jets. I'll be on Winnipeg here at minus 135. What do you think here, Kevin? Jets, Senators?
Yeah, I was going through props, and we got with Ottawa. I want to wait a little bit to see how Josh Norris kind of integrates into that lineup. See what a difference he makes in that lineup change. So I was kind of staying away from Ottawa as far as props. Ehlers has been pretty hot here since he came back. He's been back in the lineup. He has 10 points in 8 games since returning. For him to score 1 point is minus 175, so you have to pay a bit of money, but he's been pretty automatic since he's been back in the lineup. So this one, nothing special. I'm probably going to take the easy one just to try and post some money on the board, and I'll take Ehlers for 1 point, minus 175. Yeah, the Jets. They've been hot, but they've struggled. They've lost to the Habs lately. So you'd love to see them get back at it here, but also interested to see how the Senators are gonna go with Norris in the lineup and see how that offense comes along. So as far as like a wins loss for me, I was kind of staying away from it. And then the props, totally just want to stay away from the Senators until I see. That's one I'm going to be interested in, probably in a handful of games. See how things shake out, and then you could find some situations where guys are seeing underdeployment now, or in a better situation with Norris. So that's kind of on my watch radar right now. But just taking the easy way out on this one with the Ehlers for a point.
Here's my thoughts on Josh Norris, who we know was a big injury when it happened. We said massive loss for the Ottawa Senators. They've now had him back for 2 games since returning from injury. He's going to need, it looks like, a little bit of time to ramp up to game speed. That's what it looks like to me here in these first 2 games against Pittsburgh that he's played. So I'd pump the brakes on props for him until you see him, find that next level, that next stride, because, he hasn't been as what he's done a lot? He's fumbled the puck a lot. When the puck's been on his stick, he hasn't made that crisp tape-to-tape pass. He's been a little tentative with his decision-making. Then he turns it over, or a player checks him, and then it goes the other way. That's where he's at right now, Josh Norris. He's like a little in between. Decision-making's a little off. Timing is a little bit off. That's not to be unexpected, right, when you've been off for that level of time, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, no question about it. So just might take him a little bit of time to get himself fully back in form for this Ottawa team. Still going to get opportunity, of course. I mean, he's with Giroux and DeBrincat, and probably he's going to get it going at some point. I think if you're going to look at Ottawa props, I mean, Stutz, LeBathurst, and Tkachuk has been a marvelous line. Throw in a little Pinto on the third line. They've been the guys that have been carrying things for the Winnipeg Jets. I still say Morgan Barron is undervalued still. He had a bunch of chances against Toronto and Montreal. And playing with Scheifele and Ehlers, there's a good chance he's eventually going to get on the score sheet. So I still say stick with Morgan Barron here for Winnipeg as long as he's going to be up in the top 6. Of course, it goes without saying Connor, Dubois, and Wheeler have just been magnificent. You talk about shots on goal. Dubois has been in a shots on goal magnet lately, over, in a lot of games with his shots on goal. So keep that in mind. He's been obviously very good for the Winnipeg Jets and impactful, and it goes without saying Kyle Connor's having a phenomenal year for the Jets, and that's factoring in a slow start in October. And look how he's completely turned things around since then That's way back in distant memory status. Kyle Connor struggling at the beginning of the season. All right, that is the first half.
The one guy I'll throw in that I did. I was looking at was Alex DeBrincat. His over under on shots is 3.5. It is paying plus 105. He has hit it, I believe, in 6 of the last 7. So he is peppering the puck, but he usually hits it just right on. So he's usually just right at 4 shots, which kind of, he's been hitting it, but it kind of scares me that he hasn't been clipping over it too high, and he's just been getting right on the number. So with the lineup change as well, I do kind of want to wait and see if that changes a little bit. So that's one I want to sit on. But that did spark my interest to take a good look at.
Yeah, it's one of those where you could see it being right on the line. You'll be at 3 shots in the third period with like 5 minutes to go, and you'll be just sitting on the edge of your seat. Is he going to get that 4th shot or not? God damn it! And
those high numbers always kind of scare me. Even if a guy is hitting it regularly, it's such a high number to anything can happen in that game where you're quickly under it. So
yeah, no question. And that one definitely again could be right around the number. And basically that's been the track record lately for DeBrincat with the shots on goal prop for him. All right, that's the first half of the Saturday card. We got the back half, 7 down, 7 to go in terms of games on this Saturday slate. We'll break down the remaining 7 games on the card right after. And by the way, hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. We'll be back with the second half of the card right after we hear from Gramco.
All right, whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta 8 products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta 8 products such as vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you, and is also available at many American retailers as well. Get the best Delta 8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. If you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you get 25% off of any order, and all orders on the site that are $50 and higher are shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta 8 products today.
All right, we are back here on the Ice Guys Show. 7 games left, half the card to go. Let's get right back into it. Carolina Hurricanes, New York Islanders. Hurricanes minus 180, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this one. I ain't going to overthink or overcomplicate it. I like the Canes in regulation here. We're going to get it back down to close to even money, which is what you can get with the price here with Canes in 60 minutes. Again, I'm just checking the updated numbers. Yeah, around minus 105, minus 110 for Carolina in regulation. They're just the better team right now. The New York Islanders are on a bad run, 1-7 in their last 8 games, and the only victory was against the lowly Montreal Canadiens, 2-1, and barely squeaked by in that game as well against Montreal. It's the only victory in the last 8 for this Islanders team. They lose in overtime to the Sabres, and overtime was flattering that game went to OT because they got dominated by the Sabres, outplayed heavily. Sorokin kept them in the game. They lose 4-1 to the Bruins before that. Carolina got off or bounced back from the 4-3 loss at home to the Vancouver Canucks over the weekend. They had a lot of time off, a lot of rest from Sunday to Thursday, and they answered the bell with a 5-2 win against Minnesota in their last game. Very solid performance from the Hurricanes, and now they go on the road against an Islanders team they've dominated. They've also won 3 straight here in Long Island against this Islanders team. Sorokin once again confirmed in net. This team, by the way, missing a couple of key pieces. Fashing, the young kid, was playing well. He's out. Kyle Palmieri on IR. Wallstrom on IR. Adam Pelech, maybe their best defenseman, on IR. That hasn't helped. And unfortunately for Carolina, Max Pacioretty, we talked about this yesterday, torn Achilles, brutal. Just when he gets back, plays a few games, and he's hurt again. Absolutely unfortunate for Max Pacioretty. It looks like he isn't going to play again this season. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but very unlikely you're going to see him again. Probably see him in training camp for Carolina. First game, though, after his injury, I see everybody, and this happens a lot. You have that kind of devastating sight, and he's got to be helped off the ice. And you come back the next game, and you're ready to play if you're Carolina. And I think you see that from them. They're the better team. Minus 105 in regulation to me is a nice bargain for them to get the job done here against the reeling New York Islanders. What do you think here, Kevin, Hurricanes, Islanders.
Yeah, this Islanders team cannot score goals right now. I know they actually broke our streak. We're riding that against Montreal. We were always taking the opposite team on the over 3 goals there, or over the 3.5, and that kind of ruined the streak there. The Islanders, I know for me, anyways. So I wasn't too happy with them at that point. So I'm looking at a few things here where they're just struggling to score. One, I am just looking at the Canes money line is minus 167. I'm looking at the Islanders team under 2.5 goals. That's minus 127. So to not complicate things, that would be the way to go. If I am getting the nitty gritty of the props, there's a couple I'm interested here. Anders Lee for no point is minus 136. He has 2 points in his last 10. Okay. The other guy here who was a bit of a surprise, who was on a tear to start the season, is Barzell. Both in the under shots, his line is set at 2.5. You do have to pay a big price. It's minus 200. But 8 of his last 10, he has been under that number. So he's not firing the puck. So even though you got to pay that big price, the value is there if you play it in the long run. And he also has no points in his last 6. So the one I'm really probably interested in out of all those is Barzell, no point. That's paying you plus money, plus 108. And the way the Canes can shut you down, the way the Islanders are just not creating offense at all, I think that's the one I'm going to circle and jump on right there. Barzell for no point, plus 108. I'll take the plus money.
There you go. Plus money, Matt Barzell, no point. And I love it. It's refreshing in a world, in every sport that we talk to people, right? Hockey, basketball, football, when it comes to player props, people want to bet touchdowns. People want to bet overs. People want to bet, things to happen. And you're not scared to go under shots, under points, points.
It's the NHL. It's hard to score goals here,
It is, exactly.
Yep.
And that is that is true. I mean, Barzell, the whole team's in a slump scoring goals right now. But Barzell is always one of the more prominent forwards for this team, that you're actually getting a better price on him than some others to not find a point in this game. Not get on
the guys around him are not helping him right now. And if they were playing a weaker team, I would stay away from it, looking for him to bounce back. But playing one of the best teams in the league, I'm pretty comfortable playing and going for that plus money on him.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely something to keep in mind there. I like that look. I'm going to bet that. I like that, Barzell. The reasoning makes sense. The price is excellent. Can't deny the value. The value is excellent on that. No question about that. So of all the props you've mentioned so far, I like the Toronto shots on goal, and that's the other one that I like. That Barzell one, really good. It's a good find by our guy, Kevin Beach, the prop king of the Ice Guys show and the Ice Guys fam, if you will. By the way, Kevin, I want to mention everyone, we've got our Ice Guys live betcast Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to drop in, Kevin, for just a few minutes, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, awesome. I'll check the old schedule and let you know if I can jump on that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just live betting.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it's an invite for everyone that's watching and listening too. We've already had people contact me, DM, and say, send me the link. I want to show up on the stream on the betcast, which is great. It's just live betting, commentary. We're watching the games. We're placing live bets as we're watching the games unfold. We got our booze with us, whatever drink we want. It's like a beer and it's like a bar and a pub atmosphere, Kevin. Essentially, just hanging, watching the games. It's Alex and I, the hosts of the show. It's many of our viewers and listeners joining us on the stream, and we're just shooting the shit, watching the games, and trying to make some money with live bets. Pretty much
awesome. Sounds like a great time. Yeah.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I get a couple brown pops in me, and it becomes an even better time on the show. No doubt about it. But it'll be a lot of fun. Tuesday night, January 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern, Ice Guys live betcast, our first betcast of the new year. And then after the Super Bowl, Kevin, we'll be doing these weekly, probably on Tuesday nights once football season ends. So Tuesday night is likely going to be the night that we'll be doing the Ice Guys live betcast throughout the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs as well. We'll be doing a bunch of Stanley Cup playoff betcast as well. So looking forward to those. All right. Arizona, Dallas is not the next game. This is the next game. LA and Nashville. Nashville minus 120, home favorites, 6 the total in this one. Predators, very disappointing the other night. I'm sure the locals are grumbling here Kevin, with that performance against a depleted St. Louis Blues team the other night. That was very disappointing out of Nashville. They lose 5-2 to the Blues. Good news is I split with that game. I did have the over. I thought Nashville would do most of the scoring, but it was St. Louis with the 5-2 win. Just very sloppy they were. Maybe UC Saros wasn't at his absolute best, but there's a lot more fault to go around. Just the entire team didn't play really that great of a hockey game. We'll see if Nashville is able to bounce back here against the LA Kings, who are off 2 straight home losses to New Jersey and Dallas. You know, a team that had been playing really well, and they kind of hit the skids at the end of that homestand, losing to the Devils and the Stars. Todd McClellan kind of saying, though, look, we'd been at home for a little bit. We're kind of excited to get back on the road. And the road record is right at 500, by the way, for the LA Kings this season. We'll see how they fare here. Starting a road trip, that's usually kind of a bet on spot. Now, they do play in Chicago tomorrow night, so this is the front end of a back-to-back situation. We'll see who's in net for this game. You would think with this being the tougher of the opponents here with Nashville compared to Chicago, you'll see Phoenix Copley tonight. Maybe you'll see Jonathan Quick tomorrow night in the game against Chicago. But it is worth noting they've also been without Velarde the last game against Dallas. He was a late scratch. We'll see if he's available here tonight for the Kings, but obviously he's had a breakout season for LA, no question. No confirmations again in net for these two teams. You've got LA, by the way, has beaten Nashville each of the last 2 head-to-head meetings, including earlier this year, actually, back in October in Nashville. The Kings were victorious by a score of 4-3 over the Predators. We'll see if they can carry over that success here to this game. 3 straight overs, believe it or not, head-to-head with the Kings and the Predators as well. I'm waiting to see who's in net. Copley is kind of coming back down to earth a little bit. I'm not saying he's fallen off, but he's definitely, you know, it's been a great stretch of games for him. He's done way more and accomplished way more success than anybody would have thought since becoming a regular starter here for the Kings. But you're starting to see him start to give up more goals. And that's probably a product of, and you're a goalie, Kevin, speak to this. I mean, doesn't a goalie that when he's first at the NHL, or not at the NHL level, he'd been there before, but with the new team and the LA Kings in this case, and you start to accumulate more starts and more games, and doesn't the opponent now have a better idea where to attack, weaknesses, tendencies of a goaltender, and a better idea of a scouting report essentially on you? And maybe we're seeing that a bit with Copley now, where teams are starting to figure out some holes in his game now that we've seen him for a bunch of games at this level now.
Yeah, it could be that. It can also be that there's that kind of adrenaline factor where, you know, when you're first in an uncomfortable situation, or, you know, something you're not used to, or a level that's higher than you're used to, a lot of times you're just playing off adrenaline.
Yep.
And off the start, that can rise you to, you know, a higher level that you're used to. But it's not sustainable. So, you know, once that comes back down, sometimes too, you can kind of get back to the level of the goalie that you are. Not saying he's not gonna fight through this, but you know, it can be a bit of, you know, teams start to read you, but also there is that adrenaline factor off the bat that sometimes you can ride that wave as far as you can. But yeah, he's kind of come down a little bit here, and they're going to need him to find it again, because Quick has not been the answer for them this season. So they need him to find that game and try and get it back as best as he can.
Yeah, no doubt. What do you like right now? I should say I lean Kings. I lean over. Just leans right now. I'm waiting to see who's in net, but I can't argue with the series history. It's been overs with these two teams, believe it or not, head-to-head, Kings and Predators, and I could see that here in this one. And again, I lean LA. I still think LA is a better hockey team than Nashville. I do. I think Nashville had a nice little run there, that road trip. Keep in mind, we said this about those wins on that road trip, the Carolina game. More than one game on that road trip, it was the UC Saros show. That's why they won. They got outplayed. They got outshot. Don't lull yourself into a false sense of security thinking, oh, Nashville won those games. They're playing great. They're picking their game up. No, the goalie just stood on his head, you know, in a couple of those games. So keep that in mind. I would only look LA here in this game personally, but I'm waiting to see who's in net. What do you think here in this one, Kevin, Kings and Predators?
Yeah, that's the thing that worries me, is that you know, with going with the Kings, if they don't have the goaltending right now, if they don't have a guy who's playing well, when you got UC Saros at the other end, like, that's a guy who routinely steals games. So if that's a tight matchup, if you don't have a guy playing well on the other end right now, that's a guy who can steal games, and that kind of scares me away from taking LA. I'm looking at just props on this one. One now that I pulled back on, this was one I was regularly hitting, was Nino Niederreiter on the over. Pretty well every game there for about 2 weeks he was on the over. His last 2 games, all of a sudden he just fell off a cliff here. He has 0 shots in his last 2 games. And as we mentioned, like when you're on a trend, okay, you don't hit it one game, you go right back to it. But once it's 2 games in a row, that's when you kind of pump the brakes and kind of reevaluate what's going to happen there. I know their lineup, like they're still kind of tinkering around. Parsonen now has been dropped off that top line as far as what I see. I got him on the 3rd line. He's still listed on the top power play unit, but it just looks like they're kind of tinkering around still there. So I'm going to kind of wait and see on Niederreiter to see what he does here the next week. But I'm going to pump the brakes on him, not touch him. The one I'm looking at though is Matt Duchene. His line is 2.5. It's not the best payout. Minus 155 is what you got to pay to get it. But 8 of the last 10 he's been under. So he just has not been shooting the puck much at all. And that's the one I'm going to jump on, is Matt Duchene under 2.5 shots.
There you go. Matt Duchene under shots on goal for Kevin with the Predators here in this game against the LA Kings. So again, waiting for a bunch of things. As far as the prop market goes in this one, by the way, Kopitar was on a 6-game point streak, came to an end. Kempe has really been someone picking up the slack for LA. And as far as the Nashville props go, Parsonen, Novak, Cody Glass continues to be, I think, worth a look as long as he remains up on that top line center spot. I've mentioned those players for Nashville. So if you're looking for props, those players I mentioned, worth a look. Arizona, Dallas next up. Dallas minus 350, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. A very impressive shutout against the aforementioned LA Kings for the Dallas Stars to end that road trip. Now they are back home facing the Arizona Coyotes, who are just the 1 win in their last 10 games. They got blanked by Washington in their last game by a score of 4-1 or 4-0, I should say. They got blanked by Washington. They'll be looking to bounce back after a shutout loss against Dallas. Dallas, of course, back home after being out west for 3 games, Vegas, San Jose, and LA, looking to keep it rolling here. As far as this head-to-head series, I mean, Dallas did pummel Arizona when they played them back in November, 7-2 in Arizona. It was all Dallas in that game. And we saw 4-3 for Arizona beating Dallas in Dallas at the end of last season. And then Arizona won at home. So Arizona, 2 of the last 3 have played the Dallas Stars pretty tough. I'm going back and I'm looking to see what the long-term numbers are for Arizona. Obviously, when they get held down, and they don't score in the previous game, I'm just looking for what their recent bounce back type of track record has been. 23-50 after scoring 2 goals or less in their previous game. Keep that in mind. In terms of, there's some trends here that point out that, Arizona's been tough in terms of bouncing back when they've been held down offensively. Again, only 28th in the league offensively. And on the road, we know Arizona's had their issues. They're only 6-22 road record this year, the Arizona Coyotes coming into this game. And if you look at the recent road games that they have played in Chicago, in Philly, in Florida, in Tampa, in Minnesota, and in Winnipeg, it's been rough. No question about that. 0-7 in their last 7 road games here for the Arizona Coyotes. This should be Dallas winning this game. It's just, how do you want to go about it? I think what I'm going to end up doing here in this game is a split between over and 3.5 team total on Dallas. Dallas, it's minus 160. So it's not exactly a great number or price by any stretch of the imagination. But if you actually look at what Arizona gave up away from home in the long trip they made out east, they gave up 6 to Philly, 5 to Florida. They had some rough defensive efforts. Let's see who's in net for them. It looks like it's Connor Ingram tonight for the Coyotes, who was marvelous against Detroit, and they won that game 4-3. He faced 40 shots, but Connor Ingram is just one of those goalies that I don't trust a great performance to be followed up with another great performance. The numbers still for him on the year are 3.67 with his goals against and 892 for his save percentage. So with that in mind, that's why I'm looking at maybe a Dallas team total over and a full game over split in this one. even with Ottinger in net, who's actually not been, he really has not found it since coming back from that injury, consistently. I mean, he's had some good performances, but he's also had, games like the San Jose game, they lose 5-3, gives up 4 goals. So, he's still trying to find it game in and game out, his A game. I don't think he's quite there yet. So don't put it past Arizona, especially off a shutout loss, to find the back of the net. So I'll probably go between Dallas team total over 3.5, about -155 or so, and maybe a smaller bet over 6 as well. And keep in mind, 2 meetings in a row with these teams have gone over the total. What do you think here in this one, Kevin? Arizona and Dallas.
Yeah, my theory is actually that Arizona's having a hard time finding the back of the net right now in general. A couple guys I'm looking at, Shane Gostisbehere. He has not been putting points on the board basically since Chychrun joined the lineup. Even though he's still, they're playing the power play together, that first power play together. And he still plays a ton, but he only has 1 game in the last 10 where he's actually put up any points. That's paying -167 for no point on him. So that one definitely sparks my interest, but he still plays a ton. So the guy actually I might look at here, again, another bit of a bold move is Clayton Keller. Only in the last 3 of his last 10 games has he put up any points. So here's a guy who's having a great season. He was really cooled off. And his no point value is +120. So with the whole team, again, just not doing a lot of offense, and that higher plus money price, I think that's the one I might take a stab at here. And again, if you're playing a weak team, it's something I'd probably stay away from. It's in a situation where Dallas is a team that can shut down teams pretty quickly and limit them to 1-2 goals pretty regularly. So I think I'm looking at Clayton Keller, no point, and that's plus money 120.
All right, there we go. That's a couple. I like those prices on those players. Absolutely. So again, good finds there with some of these player props involving the Coyotes. All right, next up we've got Chicago and St. Louis. Blues -230, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. You got to give the Blues some level of credit for what we've seen out of them the last handful of games. I mean, we've talked about all the injuries with Torrey Krug on the blue line, a couple other blue liners, O'Reilly and Tarasenko. And they've won 2 in a row against Nashville and Ottawa on home ice. We'll see if they carry that momentum forward here to tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks, who suddenly have gone 5-1 in their last 6 games. The Blackhawks coming off a great performance against the Philadelphia Flyers 4-1. It was actually one of Peter Mrazek's better games in between the pipes for the Blackhawks. It was very good in that one. We'll see how Chicago fares here in this one. Here is a bit of a stunner, if you ask me, in terms of the goaltending situation for Chicago. Undrafted free agent out of Providence. He's played in 12 games in the AHL with Rockford this season, and here he is about to make his NHL debut tonight in this game. Jackson Stauber is going to be the starting goaltender here tonight for Chicago in this game. So interesting developments here. I guess they want to rest Mrazek. I don't see Mrazek on the injury list. That's number 1. And number 2, we know Alex Stalock is still not available. So at the end of the day, they decided, we're going to give Mrazek a little rest here. We're going to give Jackson Stauber the opportunity. And by the way, Rob Stauber is his dad. You'll remember, of course, Rob Stauber from back in the day, of course, goaltender himself, Minnesota Golden Gophers, Kings, Sabres, a couple teams in the NHL. Rob Stauber's his dad, and now his son Jackson will make his debut here with the Chicago Blackhawks. Now his AHL numbers aren't great. Down there he's had a 3.06 goals against average, 896 save percentage. That doesn't exactly make you utmost confidence in him, which is why I like the over in this game, honestly. Over 6 -120. I think you're going to see goals tonight. St. Louis has been able to score lately. They've put in in the 2 of their last 5 games, they've scored 5 and 4. They got shut down by Calgary and by Tampa Bay, but pretty good. They only scored 2 against Ottawa, but here tonight, I think they've got the opportunity here to find the back of the net, and they've done that repeatedly against Chicago. 4 meetings where St. Louis has scored at least 3 goals in a row against Chicago, and they've scored a grand total of 17 goals in the last 4 games head-to-head against the Blackhawks. So I do like over 6 with Stauber in net. We'll have to see who's in net for the Blues. We assume it'll be Jordan Binnington once again, who's actually in the last couple of starts played well against Nashville and Ottawa. 3 goals allowed in those 2 games combined. We'll see if he can keep it going here against the Blackhawks. But I still like goals in this one. If honestly, though, maybe do you take a shot? Do you roll the dice that this Chicago team just goes all out and plays their tails off tonight for this kid, Jackson Stauber in net? Because I'll tell you this, I don't think it's the craziest idea to take a small flyer with Chicago. I mean, St. Louis, albeit the 2 wins in a row, this is still a depleted bunch. And it's still, to me, a massive risk to lay this kind of price with them. I mean, we're talking minus 250, minus 260 in some spots here with the Blues as favorites. I don't mind taking a small shot with Chicago. And in fact, I might. What do you think here in this one, Kevin? Chicago, St. Louis.
Yeah, actually, Stauber I'll be rooting for just kind of on a personal level. We have worked with the same trainer, so that's a guy I'll be rooting for. But as far as my bets here, here's a guy. We'll start with this one. This one scares me every time I do it. But Robert Thomas on the over 1.5 shots. He's hit it in 7 of his last 10. So the trend has been since O'Reilly's been out, he has been getting a little more usage, has been hitting it, but he just barely hits it. Every time he hits it, he just barely hits it. So it does scare me to play that one, but it has been making me money, so I'm going to stick with it. So I have Robert Thomas over 1.5, and that's minus 112. When I first jumped on it was paying me plus money, which I was pretty happy about, but it's still close to even, and with the trend of him still just barely getting the job done, I'm going to stay on it and stick with that and ride that out for now. The other one, this is one I tried to jump on probably a couple months ago, was Max Domi on his over-under with shots. Then he was clipping over at a pretty good pace, and then as soon as I started playing it, he just stopped shooting the puck. So I kind of left it alone for a couple months. This is now I've come back to it. I've taken a look at it. 8 of the last 10, he's been over. His line is only 1.5. So it's minus 155. So not unbelievable odds, but the value is there when and he's been over it quite a bit. Like he's regularly been at 3-4 shots a game. So like I'm pretty comfortable in getting back on this Max Domi train, as long as he's still playing with Kane there, and he's playing a ton as well. So that's what I'm going to try and jump back on and hope it works better than the first time I tried it. But 8 of his last 10, he's been over, and he's been well over it. So I'm going Max Domi over 1.5 shots.
There you go. And sometimes the 1.5 shots to the over are great value because, you maybe got someone that was going under a lot, and that's why the total on their shots has dropped to 1.5 in the first place. And now you just get them on the uptick now, and you get it before there's any sort of adjustment, and bam, that's why you get involved with Max Domi over that 1.5 number. You're taking advantage of him, picking up in that regard now as a result. So yeah, good find there as well. I mean, great finds with these props here throughout the show here for our guy, Kevin Beach. All right, Edmonton and Vancouver. Is this the night that we say goodbye to Bruce Boudreau? I have a feeling that everyone seems to think this is going to be it for Bruce Boudreau. This very likely is his final game behind the bench as head coach of the Canucks. We've talked about, Jimmy was livid about it. I've been livid about it, how they've handled this situation. They've handled it so badly, so poorly, so disrespectfully to Bruce Boudreau this whole time, and so unfortunate. And credit to the Canuck fans last night for the gesture they made. Bruce, there it is, chance, showing their support for a good man who doesn't deserve to be treated like this, in my opinion. I'm just thankful that if this is the last game, he finally gets to put this to bed and move on with his life, because obviously it's been a tough few weeks, even a month for him with all the rumblings. Edmonton, Vancouver, and what could be the last game for Bruce Boudreau behind the bench. Oilers minus 190, road favorites, 7 the total. We talked about this yesterday, Jimmy and I, on the Friday show, looking ahead to today a little bit. They finally pushed the total up to 7 on a Vancouver game, although last night one of their games finally stayed under against Colorado as they lose 4-1 in that one. Obviously, they still couldn't keep the puck out of the net, but you didn't get much punch back offensively from Vancouver in that game. It's still very difficult for me, even at 7, to bet under with either of these teams, including Edmonton. Edmonton is 5-0-1 to the over in their last 6 games. These games have been 6-3, 6-2, 7-1, 4-3, 5-2, 5-3. So all of them at least 7 goals for the Edmonton Oilers in the last 6 games that they've played. So for me, it's still over or pass. It's up to 7 now, so I don't like it as much. I'm going to go with the Edmonton team total over because this team is, again, we talk about it, they're playing some of their best hockey of the season. You do have to lay a little bit of a price here, 3.5 minus 165 or so. A little pricey, I get it, with the team total over, but I'm going to lay some juice. This is juice worth laying, I think, over 3.5 minus 165. Vancouver is almost assuredly good to give up 4 goals to any opposition. That's pretty much been the way it's been for several games now for Vancouver. Edmonton has got it going offensively in a massive way. The last 5 games during this win streak, they've scored 6, 7, 4, 5, and 5. So not a single game where they've been held to fewer than 4 goals. They've got Evander Kane back, and if anything, he's going to get even stronger and better because he's going to get his timing and his rhythm and his confidence back as he gets more games under his belt. McDavid and Draisaitl have been excellent. Nugent Hopkins as well has had a big-time bounce-back season for the Oilers as well. It is, by the way, Skinner back in net for the Oilers. His first start, this will be since returning from his wife giving birth to their child. So back with the team and making his first start. The All-Star, I should say, Stuart Skinner. Great to see, actually, because he was excellent for a long period of time in the first half of the season for the Oilers. As of right now, the line combinations are interesting. Klim Kostin, I'm going to come back to the well with him because he's been a noticeable impact. He's gotten scoring chances. But don't sleep on Derek Ryan, Ryan McLeod, Dylan Holloway for Edmonton. They're all slated as of right now to be on the top 6 forward group. Ryan and Holloway flanking McDavid on the top line, and McLeod with David with Draisaitl and Hyman on the second line is the way the lines look right now, potentially going into this game. So you've got great value and props with all 3 of those guys that have been promoted by Jay Woodcroft: Derek Ryan, Dylan Holloway, Ryan McLeod. And they have all, started to make the most of their opportunities, especially Ryan McLeod. I think he's scored in a couple of games. Holloway's been a little bit better since he's been getting more ice time. He had 2 points against Seattle. He scored against Anaheim. Ryan McLeod has scored 3 goals in the last 4 games, 3 points in the last 4 games. He's an excellent option value-wise to score a goal tonight for Edmonton. Clearly taking advantage of the opportunities being given to him, and he's plus 390 in some spots to score a goal tonight for Edmonton. So great value on some of these Edmonton player props tonight in a game we project them to have lots of success offensively, as most teams do against Vancouver. So for me, it's team total over, maybe a small play on the over. I might even wait in game and get 6.5, 5 minutes into the game. If it's scoreless, the live total will drop to 6.5. And then I'll get involved with the over in terms of the full game. And like I said, it's a good prop game, especially on the Edmonton side. A lot of good value. Oilers and over 5.5 combination. You could consider that as well at a plus price. Not bad. So a lot of different ways to go about this one. Part of me thinks Vancouver plays hard. Might be the final game for Bruce. It's not that they don't like the coach or they've tuned out the coach. They just suck. They just suck. They just stink. They're not good. That's the issue with Vancouver. It's not anything to do. They'd love to win for Bruce. Everybody's saying to a man on this Canucks team, they like the guy. They're very sad this is happening to him, but they're just not good enough to save his job because they're not winning. That's just the way it is. And I think they want to win for Bruce. They just can't. They're incapable right now with the way they've played. And Spencer Martin, I think, will be back in net for Vancouver tonight after it was Colin Delia last night. Spencer Martin has really struggled. If you actually look at his last several games, I think he's on a 6-game losing streak coming into tonight. He's lost each of his last 6 starts, and he's given up 3-5, 3-5, 4, and 4 in those games. So he's definitely had a tough run of it lately after a pretty good performance level earlier in the season. What do you think here, Kevin? Oilers and Canucks.
Yeah, I like where you're going with the Oilers on the team total over. That's one thing I was looking at. I just wasn't crazy about the price, although I think the juice is worth the squeeze there. So I think you're right. I think I'm looking for. I don't do this often, but I'm looking at first period fireworks here. Just that there's so many different things going on. You got Skinner back in the lineup, finally getting back in his first game. Vancouver, just so much going on with them, but are they going to have a bit of a punch out of the gate here just to try and show something? Um, so I could see them coming to the gate hard, but then again, it's also back to back for them, and the Oil are just playing so well that I could just see them rolling them just right from the first puck drop. So I'm looking for goals in the first period here. I'm playing the over 2 goals. That's minus 103. I got it at that, and I'm just looking for. I think in the end of the game, I like your play. I think the Oil are they're gonna score their goals throughout the game, whether they get it done in the first or not. So I like that play as well a lot. But for me, for price point, I'm going to jump on that first period over 2 and try and see the puck hit the back of the net early in the game.
I think my colleague on this show, who will be on a Saturday, one of these weeks when you're with us, Kevin, at some point, but under the weather today, Alex. But this would be right under in his wheelhouse. He's been on a bunch. He's a first period over better. He really bets a lot of first period overs, and he's been on a lot of Vancouver first period overs. And this is probably on his. If he's making bets today, I don't know, because he's kind of, like I said, he's a little under the weather. But if he's making bets today, Alex B. Smith, he's definitely probably got this on his card. Edmonton, Vancouver over 2 in the first period here in this game. And you like it as well, the first period over. All right, massive day, massive show, an hour and a half. I usually don't like going a lot longer than 90 minutes, but we've only got 2 games left. We'll hurry up, pick up the pace here. Washington, Vegas, even money, minus 110, both sides, 6 the total in this game. I'm on Washington here, minus 110. I mean, Vegas has now gotten to a point where I'm concerned. I mean, they're beaten up to shit. Mark Stone, still injured, day-to-day, upper body injury, week to week. I don't think he's back tonight. Will Carrier on IR. Brett Howden on IR. Shea Theodore, Zach Whitecloud still on IR, not coming back anytime soon. Miramonov's out. They did get Martinez back, which helps. But, I mean, Jack Eichel's struggling. And he came up publicly a few games ago saying, I suck. I got to be better. And he really hasn't put those words into action since that happened. They're not scoring right now. Defense and goaltending has kind of been waning a little bit. I mean, it's all facets of their game are not coming together right now. Nobody's being a game breaker. Nobody's stepping up right now for the Vegas Golden Knights. Hard to back them right now. Washington coming off a 4-0 shutout over Arizona. Very impressive, solid, strong road game from them against Vegas in that one. They actually lost to Vegas back in November, 3-2 in overtime at home. Vegas has actually won 4 straight against Washington. But, man, this Vegas team is just not playing well. They're struggling to put pucks in the net. They have given up 11 goals in their last 3 games, the losses to the Oilers, Stars, and Red Wings. So, yeah, I'm not looking to back Vegas until I see signs of a turnaround. And, again, they're still massively depleted due to injuries. So, looking toward this game, I like Washington at even money, minus 110. And if you actually look at the Capitals this season and the way they've played, there's not a huge difference between their home and road performances. At home, they've had their issues, and on the road, they're not much worse. So they're capable of winning on the road, and Vegas struggling. So liking the look here on the Capitals, minus 110. Kevin, what do you think here? Capitals, Golden Knights.
Yeah, this Capitals lineup has been in a bit of a blunder here since Backstrom and Wilson got back in the lineup. One I was on was Strome. Dylan Strome was quickly kind of thrown down the lineup when Backstrom and Wilson got back. He was down on the third, fourth line. Then he even got scratched. He was a healthy scratch. After the healthy scratch, he came back. He's back on the first line and he's popping off again. Now Kuznetsov is now tumbled down the lineup. Like it's kind of all over the place right now. So I'm not going near that stuff. The one I did find though is Tom Wilson. His shots line is 1.5. 5 of his 6 games he's been under, and it's paying plus 120. So again, it's hard to tell how much he's going to get used here as he's just back in the lineup after long injury. He's not on that first power play unit. He's on the second. He's playing second line. But with that plus money and the trend off the bat here, even though that lineup isn't a blender, that's what I'm going to play. So I'm going under 1.5 for Tom Wilson, and that's paying plus 120. I'm staying away from Dylan Strome right now because I don't know what's going on in the rest of their lineup as far as what guys are going to do on the props. And then one I really sparks my interest lately is Pietrangelo. Like they are giving him lines to not score a point. Like the last couple of games, he'll be around plus 140, plus 150. Today's line is plus 132. He only has 3 points in his last 10. He plays a ton, but right now the team's just not, they're not scoring, and he's feeling it as well. So again, I think it's kind of a 50-50 thing for him to get a point. Like it's not as bad as he has been with only 3 games in the last 10 getting a point. But when you're given that plus 132, like that's something I'm going to take a swing on. So Pietrangelo for no point, plus 132, and then Tom Wilson under 1.5 shots for plus 120.
All right, there we go. Pietrangelo and Wilson props here for Kevin in this game. Capitals and Golden Knights. Wilson's one of those players too. I think since he's been back on the ice, he's definitely not exactly gotten it all going. It did have a goal and assist against Arizona, a good sign. But before that, just a goal in the first 5 games he played since returning. So see if he's able to keep it going here and get on a bit of a run for Washington. All right, maybe the game of the day. There's a lot of interesting games, a lot of solid games today on the card. This might be the best one. Most intriguing one, the one I'm most excited to watch, believe it or not, is this one. The final game of this slate, Colorado Avalanche, Seattle Kraken, the defending Stanley Cup champions who are right now playing their best hockey in a very long time against a Seattle team that has been the toast of the NHL this year with this remarkable turnaround, this incredible run that they've been on, now tied for first in their division and in the Western Conference. It's just been incredible to watch. We've got Seattle minus 115, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. I think it's a tough side. I think all things considered, this is value on Colorado. I mean, the defending champs playing their best hockey without Cale Makar, though the last 2 games, they've won without him, though. They've found ways to win without him against Calgary and Vancouver. So I don't think that's a deal breaker by any stretch, and he might play tonight. We'll have to wait and see on it. He's day to day. So, Jared Bednar yesterday said he's not going to play tonight against Vancouver, but we haven't ruled him out for sure against Seattle on Saturday night. So he still might play tonight. We'll wait and see on that. Even if without him, we've seen Colorado show the ability to win games, no question, against Calgary and Vancouver. The only concern is they're on a back-to-back and third road game in 4 nights. So it's definitely a scheduling advantage here for the Seattle Kraken. And finally, man, is it ever good to say that, Kevin? The Seattle Kraken have the scheduling advantage. I haven't said that about Seattle in like a month, for fuck's sakes, because of this absolutely terrible schedule that they've had, where they were out on the road for 7-8 games in a row, back home for 1 game against Tampa in a brutal spot, and then you go on the road again versus Edmonton the very next night, and then you're back home again against New Jersey, and then you finally get to stay home for 2 games in a row, play Colorado tonight, and then after tonight, I think they're off to like Wednesday or Thursday this week, so they finally have a lightening up of their schedule. Finally they're going to have a break in their schedule, and way overdue, because they have been put through the meat grinder from a scheduling perspective, Seattle, the last couple of weeks. So they finally got the rest advantage over their opponent for a change, as opposed to the other way around. And you can't deny how well they've played. I mean, their only losses were those tough spots where they came home and they lost to Tampa off that perfect road trip in a tough situation. And then they had to go on the road and face a red hot, heating up Edmonton Oilers team, and they lost that game. So both of those losses, you can put an asterisk beside them because they were tough spots. Now they're in a better spot. They're very capable of winning this game. They've given Colorado trouble. They've won each of the last 2 meetings against the Avs. They beat Colorado 3-2 in Denver way back in October as big underdogs. So this is a tough side for me. I think there's value in Colorado. I kind of like them at this price, but I don't like them enough to bet them. They're on a back-to-back, and the Seattle team keeps on impressing me with what they've been able to do. So this is going to be more of a sit back, maybe a live bet, but more than anything, just enjoy this game as a fan. Maybe bet some props. I do have some props that I'm eyeing in this game. Lekkonen's been on fire. He finally didn't score last night, but he has been on fire. I think 5 goals in the last 4 games for him. He's worth a look. As far as a goal scoring, what's funny? Brad Hunt scored from the blue line for Colorado last night. He's actually got 2 goals and 2 points in the last 4 games. If you really want to get wild, want to get a little nuts, and believe me, I'm a little nuts sometimes. Maybe you look at Brad Hunt for Colorado, maybe to do something offensively, just as a much bigger prop look there in that game. As far as Seattle goes, the rookie Matty Beniers is always someone you have to consider for props. Eberle, Wenberg, I've talked about, McCann, Burakovsky scores the game winner. Vince Dunn, believe it or not, defenseman for Seattle, he is on a ridiculous point streak for the Kraken at the moment. Vince Dunn is on a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-game point streak, and he has 2 goals in the last 3 games. And during that 9-game point streak, he has 5 goals as well. So, absolutely, Vince Dunn is a great prop option right now, and also someone that I'm targeting here because he's been stepping it up offensively lately, and he's been given a promotion up the lineup from Dave Hackstall, the head coach of the Kraken. It's Donato's Pizza, Ryan Donato for them. You look at 2 goals and an assist against New Jersey. He's had 5 points in the last 4 games, always worth a look. And then, of course, can't be a Seattle game without a little Eli Tolvanen mention on my part, the former Nashville Predator. Now, the last 3 games, he has cooled off. So I'm not as bullish on him tonight as I've been in previous games and certainly previous times when Kevin's been on the show. But he has gone without a point in 3 straight games. But still, I wouldn't bail on him just yet. What do you think here in this one, Kevin? It's a great matchup on paper, at least. Fascinating to see how Seattle plays. Colorado's got their game back together. Should prove to be a great game. What do you think here, Colorado, Seattle?
Yeah, it is probably the game of the day for me as well, as far as a watching standpoint. Vince Dunn, he's a guy with a lot of promise at the start of the season. I know I drafted him in my fantasy leagues and had to drop him early in the season just because he wasn't doing a ton. He's a guy I picked up on waivers somehow about 10 days ago. I don't know who dropped him, but and that was the start of when he was on fire too. He'd been on fire for about 5-6 games and someone dropped him. So I picked him up. I've been reaping the benefits from him there. I would love to jump on him for a point or a goal as well. I don't have him listed on my book as far as anytime point. If he was on there, that's something I probably would love to play on. My prop of the game, though, I do love getting nuts sometimes, but this one is it's the opposite and right back to the well. This is the Alex Newhook no point train here. Minus 137, so it is creeping up in the juice you got to pay. But he is just sliding down the lineup more and more as Colorado gets their big guns back. He did squeak out an assist last game, but there's only 3 in the last 10 games where he's got a point. So he's having a hard time getting on the scoreboard. And he was also dropped to under 13 minutes of ice time last game. So his actual ice time is still just trending down and down as Colorado gets more bodies back. So as long as they keep offering that no point and it's a half decent price here, I'm going to keep hammering that until they take it right off the book. But so that's my play. Back to the well with Alex Newhook for no point.
There you go. And that has been, if you've been watching Kevin now, I think this is your 3rd time on the show, if I'm not mistaken, 3rd or 4th, but you've been constantly on that Alex Newhook theme every single time with the Colorado Avalanche, no question. And as you said, it's been paying off for you as far as that's concerned. As far as the total goes, the total's dropped to 6. It's very interesting. We'll have to see who's in net. Francouz and Jones are projected goaltenders for this game. Neither one's been confirmed, but looks like right now they're projecting it to be Francouz for Colorado. And actually, Grubauer, some sites have him projected for Seattle. Maybe they're playing his old team. Maybe Hackstall wants to, play a hunch here that Grubauer, steps up here playing his former team, the Colorado Avalanche. That could be the case for sure. Total being at 6 there, tempts me to look at the over, but again, I'm waiting to see who's going to be in net here in this game. And like I said, I think this is more of a prop game. I lean over, I lean Colorado, but this is more of a prop game for me. I think there's some great props to take advantage of. Vince Dunn, Ryan Donato, Matty Beniers. On the Colorado side, Lekkonen's been on fire. Worth a look there. Definitely some good props to consider here in this game with the Avs taking on the Kraken. Can't wait. Really, I can't wait for this game because I think it's a great measuring stick game too for Seattle. A chance to show that they continue to validate the great, first half of the season that they've had so far. All right, great stuff. That's the Saturday card. Huge slate, 14 games. We gave you almost an hour, 45 minutes of analysis. For that reason, hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube, 190 live viewers. We also appreciate our podcast listeners for joining us on as well. We will wrap things up in just a moment with best bets right after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, our good friends at Manscaped, who are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, courtesy of the Ice Guys. Get 20% off of any purchase and free worldwide shipping with the promo code Ice Guys. That's promo code Ice Guys, all one word, ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 400 million balls that you can help preserve with manscaped.com using the promo code Ice Guys. You get the Performance Package 4.0. It is a game changer. The Lawnmower 4.0. It takes care of this, among other things. It'll keep you trim as can be. The Lawnmower 4.0, waterproof. Same thing with the Weed Whacker, which takes care of your ear hair, nose hair. I mean, nose hair in particular. You know, I'm getting up there in age, and nose hair is becoming definitely more of an issue. This will take care of it. It feels like someone's tickling the inside of your nostrils sometimes. It pisses the hell out of me. It bothers me. I need to take care of that shit. This will take care of it for you. The Weed Whacker makes part of the package that you get with your Manscaped purchase and the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. You also get the ball toner. You also get the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good and looking good and feeling good down in the nether regions. This package is really going to make you feel good and look good and look better, slim, trim. That's what it's all about. And manscaped.com can help you out with that. So make sure you take advantage of this. Manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code IceGuys at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the promo code IceGuys. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, we're back here on the Ice Guys, and it is great to get through a Saturday show and already have a winner on the board. Anaheim and Buffalo has already gone over the total of 6.5. It is 3-3 Ducks and Sabres in the second period with about 4 minutes to go. So great result. Great to start the day with a win. Hopefully we got a bunch more on the horizon for this Saturday card in terms of getting some bets in the win column, including best bets to wrap it up. Kevin, we're going to miss you. You're not going to be around for the next 2 weeks. Again, some family stuff, other things going on. So we will not have Kevin with us next Saturday. We won't have Kevin with us again the following Saturday either, but we won't have a show the following Saturday because it's the NHL All-Star break that weekend. So it actually works out well. Kevin's really only going to technically miss one show over the next 2 weeks. So he'll be back with us on February the 11th following the All-Star break. But Kevin, again, you're delivering the goods every single Saturday. I mean, great prop analysis, which is obviously your specialty. It's what you focus on. Great analysis again today. What have you got for the viewers and the listeners, Kevin, for best bet?
Yeah, this wasn't the highest price, but this is the one that I just couldn't believe was on there, was the Barkov line for 3.5. Again, you got to pay quite a bit of juice to get it. It's minus 182, but he's only been over that total one of the last 18 games. So for me, I couldn't believe that was even an option to be on there. With that line being as high as 3.5. So I'm taking for me, my best bet. I think it's easy money, Barkov under 3.5 shots.
All right, there it is. Alexander Barkov, Florida Panthers, under 3.5 shots. You got to pay about minus 182 with it, but juice worth laying. Again, that incredible run of how many times, 17 of 18, under 3.5 shots for Barkov coming into this game tonight against Minnesota. My best bet, this is a huge card. This has been one of our longest shows in recent memory. I'm giving you 3. That's right, 3 best bets today. I feel I'm in a good mood. It's a great day. There's NFL divisional playoff football. It's a huge hockey card. There's basketball. There's UFC, a great UFC fight card tonight. It's a great Saturday. Let's rock and roll with 3 best bets. And they're all going to be sides. No totals, actually. Yeah, they're all going to be sides. We're going to go with Minnesota minus 104 against Florida. That's number 1. Minnesota minus 104 against Florida. We're going to go with Winnipeg minus 134 against Ottawa. And the third best bet is going to be Carolina in regulation, minus 105, minus 110 against the New York Islanders. So there you go. 3 best bets from yours truly here on this Saturday. Minnesota minus 104 against Florida. Winnipeg minus 135 against Ottawa. And Carolina in regulation, minus 105, minus 110 against the New York Islanders. 3 best bets on this Saturday NHL card for me. Again, I thought it was tough to choose between the 3 of them for me as well. So it's another reason I decided, fuck it. Let's just get all 3 of them out there as best bets. Good stuff. All right, Kevin, awesome show. Thank you again for joining us as you do on Saturdays. And thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Kevin, looking forward to the day, and final thoughts before we shut this down.
No, just love to see that winner already on the board you had there, and full slate. So it's going to be an enjoyable day of hockey day in Canada. So here we go.
Exactly. And again, Kevin, you're invited to the Betcast if you want to join us Tuesday night for even just a couple of minutes, 7 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to that. And if you want, any of our viewers and listeners want to join us on the Betcast, just send me a DM. We'll send you the link before the Betcast starts Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Looking forward to it, our first Betcast of the year. All right, great stuff. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For our special guest on Saturdays, as he is Kevin Beach, although we'll see him in 3 weeks from now, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow on Sunday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.